kids, remember this Lego structure I built before? Well, I took out the instructions and followed them step by step to know how to build it correctly. Do you think I could have built it if I trusted my own wisdom and guessed where to put all the little pieces? No, I don't think so. What if I had called a friend who had never built it before and asked them how to do it? Would that have been a good idea? Of course not. What if I found someone really smart with a college degree and asked them how to build it? Maybe, but it still probably wouldn't come out perfect. The wise thing to do was to look at the instructions given to us by the designer. They designed it so they know just how it should be done. God is the designer of the whole world and us. So he knows best how everything should work. Unfortunately, in today's Bible story, the people of Israel wanted to get instructions from someone else who doesn't know everything. Bad idea, right? Well, remember Samuel, the little boy whom God called by name? Well, he grew up and still loved and followed God. He tried to warn the Israelites of the grave mistake they were about to make. Let's find out if his warning worked as we hear today's story from 1 Samuel chapters 8 through 10. Although God had always led the Israelites and provided for them, the Israelites wanted to be just like their neighbors. The other nations around them all had kings, so they wanted a king too. Samuel didn't know what to do, so he asked God for wisdom. God told Samuel to make sure the Israelites knew what a king would do to them. A king would force their men to fight in his army. A king would make the women cook and bake for them. A king would take people's land for himself. If the Israelites knew a king would do all these terrible things to them, do you think they would still want a king? This might be hard to believe, but they still wanted a human king instead of God, the perfect heavenly king. Crazy, right? Samuel needed wisdom to find out who should be king. So he went to God again. God spoke to Samuel and told him, "Around this time tomorrow, I will send you a man. He is from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him to be the leader of my people Israel. He will save them from the powerful hand of the Philistines. I have seen how much my people are suffering. Their cry for help has reached me." What a great king and leader God was to Israel. Even though he knew a human king would be terrible, God decided to give the Israelites what they wanted. At the time God said, a man named Saul walked into the city. There was something different about Saul. He was a head taller than everyone else around. Saul came to town because he was looking for his lost donkeys. When Samuel saw this tall man searching for his donkeys, he knew that this was the man God had chosen to be king. Samuel approached Saul and told him all about God's big plan for him to be the first king of Israel. And to prove that he was telling the truth, Samuel told Saul everything God had shown him about the future. He told Saul that his donkeys would be found. He told Saul that he would meet 3 people on his journey back home, and they would offer him food and something to drink. Finally, he told Saul that the Spirit of God would come on him and Saul would be changed. And you know what? Everything that God said would happen really happened. God knows everything because he is all-knowing. Something else happens to show us how God is all-knowing. To choose their king, Israel drew lots. That's kind of like rolling a dice. And guess whose number came up? Saul's. Just as God had said, Saul had been chosen as the first king of Israel. God really proved he knew what he was talking about. He is the ultimate source of wisdom. Samuel listened to God and followed his instructions. He knew God had all the answers and urged Israel to listen to God as well. God told them having an earthly king would be a terrible idea. But Israel didn't listen to God and wanted to do things their own way. They would soon find out that God was right all along. Saul started as a good king, but then he turned rotten and did all the things God had warned about. After Saul died, Israel had a few good kings, but most of them were rotten too. None of this would have happened if Israel had just sought wisdom from God. James 1:5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him." James 1:5. Do you ever ask God for wisdom? All we have to do is ask. It may not sound like someone is talking to you. It might be a feeling you get or a verse that pops into your head. God might even give you wisdom through another person who knows and loves God. We serve an awesome, all-knowing God. Let's always trust Him and His wisdom in our lives because He knows best.